So, today I wanted to address something that we've all seen on the internet and maybe even experienced ourselves. Me being in healthcare for 8 years, I've definitely seen my fair share of mean nurses. But the bigger question is are mean people attracted to the career of nursing and healthcare? Or does healthcare turn good people into mean nurses? Why is this such a stereotype that a lot of people believe? And it does have some truth to it. So today I wanted to go over the 5 reasons that I believe why nurses are mean, or why people believe they're mean, or what really could be happening. So what I want to start with is it's not just nurses, okay? I feel like there is like a lot of misogyny with the idea of nurses are mean when it's really just everyone in healthcare, to be honest. Like doctors are way worse than nurses, in my opinion. I've never heard of a nurse throwing a surgical instrument at someone the way I have with surgeons. I've worked with surgeons who won't even talk to me or look me in the eye because they consider me to be below them because I'm a nurse. So, 8 years in the healthcare field, I have a lot of experience, and I feel like I've seen enough to be able to make a good educated guess on what's going on and why everyone's so mean. So yeah, the first reason I would say is misogyny. People just because women are nurses and nurses are women and most nurses are women. I feel like women are targeted and something that's labeled as a strong authoritative figure for a man, a woman would be looked at as being controlling, nagging, moody, all these things. So that's the first thing I want to say. I do want to say it's everyone in healthcare. It's not just the nurses. Secondly, it really does, and that not always, but it does depend on what specialty they work in. So something I've noticed is nurses in the ICU and labor and delivery, for example, they tend to have the most stereotypes for being mean, and those jobs are the hardest. So to me, it kind of makes sense why those nurses would be seen as mean, when in reality, they're probably just under a lot of stress and they don't have the energy to give customer service. They just have to do their job at the end of the day and save lives, and they're not really paying attention to how nice they're coming across because of how much they have on their plate. Whereas if you work outpatient or if you've ever been in a doctor's office, those nurses tend to be more relaxed. Not always, but from what I've seen comparatively, the nurses with the more chill, soft nursing jobs, they're called, tend to be a lot happier because they're not constantly stressed out and they have the energy to be kind. It's kind of like if someone's homeless, or Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's what we learn in nursing school. Is if someone's starving, they're not going to think, "Oh, am I being nice?" No, they're worried about their next meal. They're not really caring about how they present themselves in that moment. So I believe that might be the second reason. The third reason I think why nurses are mean is because there are certain jobs in life that attract people for the right reasons and the wrong reasons, and nursing is one of them. A good example is teaching. There are people who become teachers so they can, because they're good at teaching, they love to teach, and they want to make sure, they want to make this world a better place and influence the future generations to do better. But there's also people who become teachers so they have access to children who are predators, right? Does that mean all teachers are bad or in it for the wrong reasons? No. And it's the same with nursing. With nursing, there are bad people who become nurses so they can have control over people. And it's sad, but that's the reality. And that's every job. It's just with nursing, it's a lot worse because we're caring over sick people who are in a position to not where they can't care for themselves. Whereas if you work at McDonald's, it's whatever. But since you're in such a position over people's lives and safety and health, it attracts a lot of the wrong people. And same with being a police officer, right? So that's another reason why I think nurses are mean. It's the type of job that can attract the wrong person. Another thing I wanted to address is it's not always the nurses being mean. Sometimes the patients just aren't very understanding, or they're mean. Actually, quite a bit of the time, patients are quite rude. And it makes sense. I mean, you're in a hospital, you're not going to be super happy all the time, but that does affect the nurse. And just like it affects the patient. And I mean, I've had to code a patient before while another patient saw what was happening and was still demanding we get him some type of snack that he kept asking for. So this guy is watching us give CPR to someone who is actively dying, and he's complaining on his call light for a snack. Like, there's no empathy there. And as a nurse, it's hard for me to sit there and smile on this guy's face and say, oh, sure, yeah, I'll get you your snack, when he's so tone deaf and doesn't give a crap about another patient who's actively dying. And that happens quite a lot. Or you have patients whose family members are in the medical field and they just try to micromanage everything you do when you already have so much on your plate. So that's another reason. So let me just say I've been in the healthcare field for 8 years, and I've seen a lot. My first job, within an hour of my shift, I had to clean a corpse at 20 years old, and then just get back to it and help the other patients like nothing happened. So you're just actively being traumatized at work constantly. And most people don't have a job that traumatizes them and puts them in a fight or flight mode to where it's just being nice is the last thing on your mind. Now, me personally, I do go out of my way to be nice. I know it's important, and it's important to me. I'm also in a field where emergencies don't happen super often, maybe once or twice a month. So I have that capability. On the flip side of that, some nurses just suck, and you have the ability to ask for another nurse. If you have a nurse who's ever being mean or cruel or unfair, you can report it, and you can definitely ask for another nurse. That's within your rights to do so. But I do ask that we be more empathetic to our healthcare workers, given all the crap they go through on a daily basis. And sometimes, if someone's saving your life, if they're mean, does it really matter? I mean, sometimes at the end of the day, you want a mean nurse. You want someone who's going to advocate for you and be tough as nails and get crap done, right? Like, would you rather have a nice nurse who has no idea what they're doing, or a mean nurse who can save your life? Like, honestly, that's what matters at the end of the day. If you're in an outpatient setting and the nurse is being rude to you, then they're just a dick, to be honest. Like, maybe they have something on their mind, but in my eyes, unless you're working in the ICU or the ER, you can't really expect your nurse to be nice, and it's kind of unreasonable and honestly even misogynistic to expect that. So yeah, that's a good few reasonings there as why I think nurses are mean, and hopefully that will help you understand a little bit better. Maybe not, maybe so. All right,